Hello, this is Two Ladies Midwest Adventures. I'm Julietta, and we are reading the second chapter of Heaven is for Real. Jenny won't be taking part due to complications. That's it. Part 2, Chapter 2, Past Your Job. The next room, we found rows of aquariums and indoor tide pools. We wandered around the exhibits, taking in starfish and mollusks and sea anemones that looked like the underwater blossoms. Cassie and Colton oohed and ahed as they dipped their hands in man-made tide pools and touched creatures they've never seen. Next, we stepped into a massive aquarium, bursting with jungle leaves, vines tumbling down, branches climbing towards the sky. I took in the palm trees and exotic flowers that looked as if they'd come from one of Colton's storybooks. And all around us, clouds of butterflies fitted and swirled. As the kids explored, I let my mind drift back to the summer before, when Sonia and I played a Code C-O-E-D, Code softball league, like we do every year. Usually fish in top 5. Even though we played on the old folks team, translation, people in their 30s, battling teams made up of college kids. Now it struck me as ironic that our family's 7-month trial had begun with an injury that occurred in the last game of our last tournament and the 2002 season. I played center field, and Sonia played outfield rover. By then, Sonia had earned her master's degree in library science. And to me, was even more beautiful than she'd first caught my eye as a freshman strolling across the quad at Bartsville Wesleyan College. Summer was winding down, but the dog days of CSUN were full force, with a penetrating heat and thirsty for rain. We had traveled from Imperial about 20 miles down the road to the village of Wayuatana for a double elimination tournament. At nearly midnight, we were battling our way up through the bracket, playing under the blue-white glow of field lights. I don't remember what the score was, but I remember we were at the tail end of the game, and the lead was within reach. I hit a double and perched on second base. Our next batter up came and knocked the pitch landed in the center field grass. I saw my chance as an outfielder ran to scoop the ball. I took off for third base, sensing the ball winding towards the infield. Our third base coach mentioned frantically, "Slide, slide." My adrenaline pumping, I dropped to the ground and felt the red dirt swishing underneath my left hip. Another team's third season stretched his glove for a ball and crack. The sound of my leg breaking was so loud that I imagined the ball had zinged in from the outfield and smacked it. Fire exploded in my shin and ankle. I fell to my back, concentrated to a fetal position, and pulled my knee up to my belly. The pain was searing. I remember the dirt around me transforming into a blur of legs, then concerned faces as two of our players, both EMTs, ran to my aid. I dimly remember Sonia rushing to take a look. I could tell her expression that my leg was bent in ways that didn't look natural. She stepped back to let her EMT friends get to work. A 20-mile ride later, hospital x-rays revealed that a pair of nasty breaks, the tibia, the larger bone in my lower leg, had sustained what doctors call a spiral break. I've never heard of spiral one. Meaning that each end of the break looked like a barber pole pattern on a drill bit. Also, my ankle had snapped completely in half. That was probably the break I heard. I later learned that the cracking sound was so loud that people sitting in the stands at the first base heard it. The sound replayed in my head as Sonia and I watched Cassie and Colton scamper ahead of us in Butterfly Pavilion, Australia. The kids stopped on a small bridge and peered down into a koi pond. Koi fish are cool. They can live about, I think it was 100 to 200 years. Shattering and pointing, clouds of butterflies floated around us. I glanced at the brochure. I bought it at the front desk to see if I could tell their names. There were blue morphs with wings a deep aquamarine, black and white paper kites that flew slowly and gently like snippets of newsprint floating down through the air. The cloudiness sulfur, tropical butterfly with wings the color of fresh mango. At this point I was just happy to finally be able to walk without a limp. Besides the hacksaw pain of the spiral break, the most immediate effect of my accident was financial. It's pretty tough to climb up and down ladders to install a garage doors while dragging a 10-pound cast and a knee that won't bend. Our bank balance took a sudden and rapid nosedive. On a blue-collar pastor salary, what little reserve we had evaporated within weeks. Meanwhile, the moment we had coming in was chopped in half. The pain of that went beyond money, though. I served as both a volunteer firefighter and a high school wrestling coach. Commitments that suffered because of my bum leg. Sundays became a challenge too. I'm one of those pastors who walks back and forth during the sermon. Not a holy rolling fire and brimstone guy by any stretch. Not a soft-spoken minister in vestments performing literal readings either. I'm a storyteller. And to tell stories I need to move around some. But now I had to preach sitting down with my leg propped in a second chair sticking out like a jib on a snail. Sail. Asking me to sit down while I delivered the Sunday message was like asking an Italian to talk without using his hands. Use duct tape on the hands. I didn't know then that would be the only first domino to fall. One morning in October, right about the time I've got Ted using a hug. Hugging everywhere. One morning in October, right around the time I gotten used to hobbling everywhere on crutches. I woke to a dull throbbing in my lower back. I knew instantly that the problem was kidney stones. First time I had a kidney stone, it measured 6 millimeters and required surgery. This time around, after a round of tests, doctors thought the stones were small enough to pass. I don't know whether that was a good thing. though I passed for 3 days. I once slammed my middle finger in a tailgate and cut the tip off. That was like baking cookies compared to this. Even breaking my leg into 4 pieces hasn't hurt as bad. Still, I survived. By November, I've been hobbling around on crutches for 3 months. And I went in for a checkup. My leg healed correctly, but we still need to keep it casted. Anything else bothering you? Actually, there was. I felt a little weird bringing it up, but the left side of my chest had developed a knot right beneath the surface of the nipple. I'm right-handed, so I've been leaning to my left crutch a lot while writing. So I thought, maybe the R-band pad on that crutch I rubbed against my chest a period of weeks, getting some sort of irritation beneath the skin, a callus of some kind. Doctor immediately ruled that out. Crutches don't do that, he said. I need to call a surgeon. The surgeon, Dr. Timothy O'Halloran, performed a needle biopsy. The results came back a few days later, shocked me. Hyperplastia. Translation: the precursor to breast cancer. Breast cancer. A man with a broken leg, kidney stones, and, come on, really, breast cancer. Later, the other pastors in my district got wind of it. They started calling me Pastor Job, after the man in the biblical book of the same name who was struck with a series of increasingly bizarre symptoms. For now, though, the surgeon had ordered the same thing. He would have if a woman's biopsy had come back with the same results. The mastectomy. Strong Midwestern woman that she was, Sonia took a practical approach to the news. The surgery was what the doctor ordered. That's the path we would walk. We'd get through it as a family. I felt the same way, but it was also about time that I also started feeling sorry for myself. For one thing, I was tired of lopping around on crutches. Also, a mastectomy isn't exactly the manliest surgery in the world. Finally, I'd been asking the church board for a long time to set aside money for an assistant. Only after the second round of kidney stones did the board vote to authorize the position. Instead of feeling grateful as I should have, I indulged myself with resentment. So I have to be a cripple and on the verge of a cancer diagnosis to get a little help around here. My pity party got me rolling one afternoon. I was down on the floor of the church property, in a finished basement really, where we had a kitchen, a classroom, a large fellowship area. I had just finished up some paperwork, and I began working on my way upstairs on crutches. Down at the bottom, on the first step, I started getting mad at God. This isn't fair, I grumbled aloud. As I struggled up the stairs, one crutch at a time, one step at a time. I have to suffer and be in this pathetic state for them to give me help I've needed all along. Feeling pretty smug about my martyrdom. I had just reached the top landing when a still, small voice arose in my heart. What did my son do for you? Humbled and ashamed of my selfishness, I remember what Jesus said to the disciples. A student is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. Sure, I had a rough few months. There was nothing compared with what a lot of people in the world were going through, even at that very minute. God had blessed me with a small group of believers whom I was charged to shepherd and serve. I And here I was gripping at God because those believers weren't serving me. Lord, forgive me, I said, and swung forward and renewed my strength, as if my crutches were eagle's wings. Truth was my church was serving me, loving me through a special time of prayer they'd set aside. One morning in the beginning of December, Dr. Hollering called me at home. Strange news. Not only was the tissue again entirely normal breast tissue, I can't explain why, he said. Biopsy definitely showed hyperplasia. So you would expect to see the same thing in the breast tissue removed during mastectomy. The tissue was completely normal. I don't know what to say. I don't know what happened, how that happened. I knew. God had loved me with a little miracle. Okay, that's the end of chapter 2. I don't always remember what Jenny says. Stay blessed, make the world a better place, one person, one moment at a time. Like and subscribe so we can start beekeeping. And then there was
add the little bees.
Right. The little bees. Hi.
Bee.
Finally time to join in. You scare me.